Arg mateys, and welcome back to the Kaladesh Express. I'm your first mate 6, and today we're going to talk about the legendary pirate captain Edward Kenway, and we're also going to design an EDH deck based on his tale. Now before we set sail, I'm going to be needing you to hit the like button and subscribe. God damn it, this eye patch. Now before we set sail, I'm going to be needing you to hit the like button and subscribe, or else I'll walk the planet. You know, I'm not doing this shtick the whole video. I'm not doing it.
Come aboard and bring along all your hopes and dreams.
Oh my god, it's so much better. Hey guys, Curious6 here with the Kaladesh Express, your #1 source for Universes Beyond. And today we're going to be talking about Edward Kenway. Like I said in the intro, we're going to be building a commander deck around him, and I'm also going to share a little bit of his lore with you. Now, truth be told, I'm not the biggest Assassin's Creed fan. I did actually play Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag way back in the day, but that is like the only Assassin's Creed game I've played since like Assassin's Creed 2 way back before then. I've had to replay some of Assassin's Creed 4, and I did a bunch of research otherwise, Wikipedia pages, gameplay videos, the 4K gameplay in the background. I've been doing a lot on him, so I'm going to give you a very brief synopsis of Edward Kenway's lore and story, and then we're going to get into the deck tech. So come on along. Edward Kenway was born in the 17th century, and growing up he always wanted to be a privateer. He heard great tales from all the people who would come back into his town, telling him about all their great adventures. During his early adulthood, he did actually pursue these dreams for a time. He became a privateer operating out of Nassau, a notorious pirate haven. During one of his privateer outings, Edward encountered an assassin named Duncan Walpole. After a scuffle, Edward defeated Duncan, took his assassin regalia, and found a note on his body telling him to go to Havana to complete a task. He did so and inadvertently became involved with the Assassins and the Templars. The Assassins, real quick, are a secret organization of good guys who are currently fighting, or have been fighting, the Templar Order for millennia. The Templar Order is a secret organization of bad guys who want to take over the world. They both seem to kill people, so I'm not sure why one's good guys and one's bad guys, but that's not important here. After getting involved with the Assassins, Edward continued his pirate outings and got more and more treasure, met more and more people, and slowly around him, people began to just die. He lost everybody important to him, and he was pretty despondent for a while. He became known on all the seas as one of the greatest pirate captains of all time, but after a while, he realized that his selfish actions were not helping anyone but himself, and he gained more and more humility. I don't want to spoil the end of Assassin's Creed 4 in case you decide you want to play it. However, I will say Edward's story is one of personal growth, sacrifice, and learning to become a more humble human being. He is the most memorable of the Assassin's Creed protagonists, as I did remember most of this while doing research for this video. I could not tell you anything about most of the other ones, even Altair or Ezio. One more fun fact about Edward Kenway: he is actually the grandfather of Connor Kenway, the protagonist from Assassin's Creed 3. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, he's a pirate man, he's a pirate captain, so let's build a pirate deck for him. One that features a lot of sacrifice, building up great fortunes, and piracy. Alright, let's begin this deck tech by talking about our commander, Edward Kenway. Edward is a legendary creature, human assassin pirate, for 2, a blue, a black, and a red. He's a 5/5, and he has, at the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each tap assassin, pirate, and or vehicle you control. And whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, look at the top card of that player's library, then exile it face down. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. So much like the character in Black Flag, Edward Kenway wants us to take our ships, attack our opponents, and loot their decks. He also rewards us for going all in on our attacks and gives us the means to eventually cast the things we steal. So besides the categories of ramp, card draw, and interaction, we'll also be looking at a couple cards for manipulating the top of our opponent's libraries, cards that create assassins and pirates, and of course, we'll be adding some big old ships. Let's begin with our creatures: Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer, Siren Stormtamer, Basim Im Ishak, I'm sure I said that right, don't even correct me in the comments, Captain Storm Cosmium Raider, Dire Fleet Daredevil, Francisco Foul Marauder, Staunch Crewmate, Adwe Breaker of Chains, I'm sure I said that right too, Breaches Eager Pillager, Captain Lanry Storm, Corsair Captain, Forerunner of the Coalition, Kitesail Larcenist, Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator, Mary Reed and Anne Bonny, Admiral Beckett Brass, Breaches Brazen Plunderer, Deadeye Quartermaster, Don Andres the Renegade, Gem Cutter Buccaneer, Hostage Taker, Ramirez Di Pietro Pillager, Admiral Brass Unsinkable, Coercive Recruiter, and Port Raiser. I don't normally lay out creatures this way, but since I did, I want to shout out some specific creatures in this deck to focus on, starting with the card on screen now, Admiral Beckett Brass, or the Secret Lair version of Edward Jackdaw Captain. So it's Admiral Beckett Brass, the most famous and most popular of pirate commanders, but now she's in the 99 because we have a new pirate commander. But other than being a pirate lord, the best reason to have Admiral Beckett Brass in the deck is that she helps with our theme of stealing things from our opponents. Speaking of which, let's address the monkey in the room. Yes, Ragavan is like a $40 card. It's been steadily dropping in price, but is still ridiculously expensive for a card you're going to play in Commander. I acknowledge that, but let's move on because it is actually genuinely going to be good in our deck. Ragavan is an early game way to start stealing things from our opponents, it ramps us, and we can return to our hand if we don't feel like losing the monkey. It's really good. The next card I want to talk about is one that I can definitely say the full name of, but I'm just going to call it Breaker of Chains for everybody else. But this card's pretty great. It helps us find vehicles, which is important. We're going to be looking for the Jackdaw throughout this deck because we like to stay on theme, and he's great for that. He also synergizes with our commander well. When vehicles hit our opponents, we'll be able to return this creature from the graveyard to our hand, which is fantastic. Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator is another card worth mentioning. It's going to help us get more treasures and ramp us whenever we're dealing damage to our opponents, which is something we should be doing with relative frequency. As you'll come to find out later in the deck tech, I'm not running as much interaction as I'd like to run the deck like this, so cards like Dire Fleet Daredevil are going to be key in making sure we have interaction by stealing it from our opponents. Next, let's talk about our non-ramp artifacts. Now, these are mostly vehicles, but there are a couple of exceptions. The first one being Time Sieve. This is going to act as an alternate win con for us. We're going to have a lot of treasures and a lot of extra artifacts laying around, so if combat's not getting the job done, take some extra turns might. And then we have Cosmia, God of the Voyage, and the Omen Keel. So this is a creature and this is a vehicle, so I didn't know exactly what section I want to throw it in, but it does both. But yeah, the Omen Keel's a really good vehicle for us. It synergizes well with our commander and our combat because it also has a win damage trigger, so that's pretty good for us. The front side is not too bad either. Alright, let's get on to the rest of our vehicles now. First one is Smuggler's Copter, Subterranean Schooner, Adressia, Fell Flagship, Jackdaw, the Belligerent, the Indomitable, Weatherlight, Magmatic Galleon, and Sky Sovereign, Console Flagship. Obviously, the main vehicle in the deck is going to be the Jackdaw. It's the namesake vehicle of our commander, and once again, it synergizes really well with our commander. Go figure, the Assassin's Creed set that has the Assassin's Creed Pirate Commander and Assassin's Creed ship are going to work really well together, right? But no, this card is great. We're going to end up having a lot of vehicles and a lot of artifacts on the board, so when we actually get in for damage with this, we're able to discard our hand, which is probably going to run pretty low, and we'll get a brand new hand of at least 6 cards, probably 7, 8. Heck, depending on when we actually connect with this card, we could draw our entire deck. The next vehicle I want to highlight is the Indomitable. Once again, synergized well with our commander. Wants us to attack, we're going to be attacking, and it's going to be really hard to get rid of the Indomitable since we'll be able to recast it from our graveyard. And the last vehicle I really want to highlight is Sky Sovereign Console Flagship. It's a great piece of spot removable, it's reusable, it's a vehicle, it wants us to attack, it does everything we want to be doing. Now the next section I want to highlight is the enchantments. Now we only have 5 of them, so this section will be pretty quick. We have Black Market Connections, Rooftop Bypass, Coastal Piracy, Double Down, and Revel in Riches. The one enchantment I feel the need to talk about real quick is the relatively new one from Outlaws of Thunder Junction, Double Down. Now this is a outlaw copying spell, so that's going to be pirates, assassins, basically our entire deck. It's really cool, but it is going to miss a lot of the time. We do run a lot of legendary creatures, and that will end up causing the legendary rule to take effect, and we'll lose one of them. But when it doesn't miss, it's going to be really good for us. Next, I want to talk about Planeswalkers. Now, we're only running 2 Planeswalkers, and that is Jace the Mind Sculptor and Tezzeret the Seeker. We're running Jace the Mind Sculptor because, well, A, he looks like an assassin from Assassin's Creed, so we have to do that. But it also gives us top deck manipulation of our opponent's library, which is pretty great. We can manipulate the top of their library before we hit with the Jackdaw or whatever the vehicle, and set up really nicely. And Tezzeret the Seeker is going to help us get any vehicle we want out of our deck, i.e. the Jackdaw, or whatever else we might need. And that's pretty great. We have 7 instant and 7 sorcery spells in our deck. They're almost all interaction, so I'm just going to do them all at once, and I will highlight the ones that are not interaction, which is very few. So let's start with Counterspell, Cyclonic Rift, Deadly Dispute, Terminate, Chaos Warp, Desynchronization, Run Aground, March of the Drowned, Vandal Blast, Feed the Swarm, Anchor to the Aether, Back in Town, Petty Larceny, and Blasphemous Act. As far as cards that aren't just directly interaction, we have cards like Petty Larceny, which is going to help us steal more cards from our opponents, which I guess is a type of interaction, but that's not really what people mean when they say interaction. March of the Drowned is going to help us reuse some of our pirates we're going to inevitably lose. And Run Aground is going to bounce something to the top of our opponent's library, which we can then steal, so it's not just interaction for interaction's sake. The last section we have is our ramp and our lands. And I'm just going to say, run your talismans, run your soul ring, run your on-color lands, run the fetches if you got them, run the shocks if you got them. And that's all I'm going to say on that. If you want the complete land and artifact ramp breakdown, it's going to be in the deck list in the description. And that'll about do it for the Edward Kenway Commander deck. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was fun for you. I did love revisiting Assassin's Creed 4. It's been a long time since I played that one, but you know, it's a good trip down memory lane. This set looks really fun. I'm going to continue to look through it. I'm going to make more content based around Assassin's Creed. Maybe not another Commander deck, but definitely look at some more cards in the set, so stay tuned for that. And any more Universes Beyond that get announced, please stay tuned. I will be covering all of it. Especially make sure to check back when Final Fantasy cards start getting spoiled, because I feel like that's going to happen soon, and I have a lot to say about those. I'm Courier6 of the Caladesh Express, your #1 source for Universes Beyond, and that's about it. See ya.